Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another video. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you will be updated on all my future content. So this video is going to focus on subtracting fractions with unlike denominators using the butterfly method. As you know from my previous videos, you can't subtract two fractions with different denominators. That doesn't work. So what we need to do is we need to use the butterfly method to find a common denominator. We've got to convert these two fractions with different denominators to equivalent fractions. So we find a common denominator simply by multiplying the two denominators, aka the two bottom numbers in each of the fractions. So step one, I'm going to multiply 5 times 11. 5 times 11 equals 55. Huge shout out to everybody tuning in. Please hit that like button. I appreciate you. Step two, we cross multiply. So we're going to multiply the numerator times the opposite denominator. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 11. Four times 11 equals 44. Hi, welcome to the video. And then I'm going to multiply 2 times 5. 2 times 5 equals 10. And then the final step is we subtract our numerators. So 44 minus 10 equals 34. And our answer is 34/55. I'm going to rock out with another example. Please hit the like button. I appreciate you. I got to get me an actual eraser over here. All right. Now I'll do one where I'm adding fractions with unlike denominators. So we have 3/8 plus 2/4. So step one, we have to multiply the denominators. Doesn't matter which order you do them in, but I like multiplying the denominators first. All right, so we're going to multiply 8 times 4. If you know what 8 times 4 is, put it in the chat. Type in the chat the answer to 8 times 4 if you know it. 310, I'm going to write it. Make that 315. 315, I'm going to write it. 8 times 4, put it in the chat if you know it. All right. 8 times 4 equals 32. Now, next step, we cross multiply. So we're going to multiply 3 times 4. 3 times 4 equals 12. Shout out to the person that is writing things in the chat. I appreciate you. 2 times 8 equals 16. Now, since we're adding fractions with unlike denominators, I'm going to put a plus sign here. Our final step, we have to add 12 plus 16 to get the numerator. In the chat, type the answer to 12 plus 16. Somebody in the chat type 12 plus 16. The 4-minute 35-second mark, I'm gonna write it, but I'm gonna give everybody in the chat a chance. Type the answer to 12 plus 16. If you don't know it, it's okay. At 4:45, I'm gonna write it in. 28 is correct. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So we have our answer, 3/8 plus 2/4 equals 28/32. Now I have a question for the chat. Is this answer in lowest terms? Type of 1 if you believe the answer is in lowest terms. Type of 2 if it is not. 1 in the chat if the answer is in lowest terms. 2 if it is not in lowest terms. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the effort. Even if you don't get an answer right, the fact that you're actually putting answers in the chat and giving your best effort, I appreciate that. This is not in lowest terms. 28-30 seconds can actually be reduced. Now, usually, I keep the reducing fractions videos. I usually make separate videos where I'm reducing fractions into lowest terms because I don't want to put too much on everybody watching, but I'll give the chat a choice. Do you want me to reduce this fraction to lowest terms, or do you want me to move on to another adding or subtracting fractions problem? Type of 1 if you want me to reduce this fraction to lowest terms. Type of 2 if you want me to move on to another problem. At the 7-minute mark, I'll make a decision if I don't hear from the chat. But 2, move on to another problem. All right, I'll move on to another problem. And then on another video, I will reduce 28-30 seconds to lowest terms. All right. So another multiplying fractions problem. All right, 2/7 minus 1/3. Wait, that won't work because 1/3 is probably more than 2/7. All right, 4/7 minus 1/3. 4/7 minus 1/3. That's what I'm gonna do. 4/7 minus 1/3. So step 1, we multiply our two different denominators to get a common denominator. So 7 times 3, we have to multiply 7 times 3. In the chat, type the answer to 7 times 3. If you know it, type it in the chat, 7 times 3. At the 8:15 mark, I'll give the answer if nobody in the chat knows. $21 is correct. All right. Step 2. In the chat, tell me what two numbers do we have to multiply? What number times what number do we got to multiply next? Nine-minute mark. I'll answer that question if we're unsure. I see a question mark. I'm guessing that. Well, so we already multiplied 7 and 3. We did need to multiply 7 and 3, but we already multiplied 7 and 3, and we got 21. But the next thing we need to do is we need to multiply the numerator times the opposite denominator. So we got to multiply 4 times 3, and we got to multiply 1 times 7. Doesn't matter what order we do that in. Yeah, we would not multiply 4 and 1 because it has to be, we're not multiplying the numerators. We're multiplying the numerator times the opposite denominator. So we're multiplying a top number times the opposite bottom number. So 4 times 3 equals 12. 7 times 1 equals 7. At the very end, that's when we work with the numerators. We work with the numerators at the very end. Now that we have our two new numerators, the final step is we subtract the numerators. 12 minus 7. Put the answer to 12 minus 7 in the chat. I know you know what 12 minus 7 is. $12 minus 7. Put that in the chat, and that'll be our numerator. 12 take away 7. Yes, excellent. 12 minus 7 equals 5. And we have our final answer. 4/7 minus 1/3 equals 5/21. 5/21. All right, that is my video for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. And if there's an area of math or reading that you're having difficulty with, put that in the comments, and I will do a future video on that skill. Until next time, this is Mr. Camilleri, signing off.